So thank you very much for your time. Moonboots here today in the interview. I'm also very happy to meet you again. I mean, probably you don't remember me, but we met in EDC Mexico some years ago. I was working at Vice, at THUMP at that time.
Oh, cool.
And creating content. So I remember a lot having an interview with you after your show there. And it was also very cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, wait, how many years ago was that? Was that
I don't know, probably was in
2018?
20, yeah, probably, or 2016, more or less, I think.
Because I played twice. Maybe it was the first time then. Yeah, it must have been the first time.
Probably the first, or I don't remember if it was also the second one, but yeah, it was in those years when THUMP existed. So yeah.
Right.
But well, I mean, the cool thing is that we are together in music nowadays, and that we're still here.
Still at it. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So very excited to talk to you today about your new album right away, which I've been listening to it all week, and super fresh album, very cool. But
Thank
you. I mean, you are very, very good with the piano. I mean, that's the main character for me in the album. So can you tell us more about how was the creative process for you about this album? Because it took you 2 years, no, to make it.
It did. There was a period where, I took a break because I just became a dad last summer. So I was also rushing to finish it. Thank you. Yeah, before my daughter was born. But yeah, no, I definitely worked for it. I mean, honestly, yeah, it probably was close to 2 years. But you know, sorry, so what was the question? How did the process start?
The creative process of how it all started for the album.
Yeah, so I started with just like a lot of different beats that I was making that I just go in, and this is how I'll usually like start writing, is I'll just like set aside a few weeks where I'm just only coming up, and it's not like finished songs or anything, but just like to have like a couple different instrumental ideas at least like every day. And so just keep doing that until I like have like sort of my favorite ones, and I get like in a rhythm with like I don't know, just like creating new sounds and stuff. And so I mean, it's not even weeks, it's like months really. But and then I'll like take the best ideas and the ones that I know work, that I can hear working with like other, singers. Or if they're instrumentals, then I keep it instrumental, of course. But then I think of like which ones will work with which singers that I want to work with. And a lot of the singers on the album are people that I've worked with before. Okay. So like, we're friends, like we know each other well. And I know their voices and they know what I like, and so we just kind of vibe on that level. And then we'll get in the room and build out the song, and usually that happens like the like lyrics and everything will happen like in one day normally, because if you spend too much time on it, it like, especially on that part, it gets all messed up. Like,
yeah, overthinking sometimes is like
oh yeah, it's really bad. I mean, the overthinking for me comes later, but like when you're actually
later, like when the song is already created, or
like when you have the demo, like I'll take the process of getting it from demo to finished song, that involves some overthinking sometimes. And I think I'm gonna try to do that less now, but everything I've ever done has always had that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's okay. That's kind of like, I don't know, that's where the magic kind of comes in, is that like I don't know. Someone says I've seen like a lot of different versions of this, but like you spend, 10% of the time on like 90% of it, and then you spend 90% of your time on like that last little like 10% of just all the little details and everything. So that's where that like comes into play. But sometimes they change the songs quite a lot after they're, finished or written. But yeah, and then trying to figure out like what flows into each other. There's a couple of songs that I started that were like pretty full, um but they didn't work with the rest of the album. So, maybe I'll finish them later, or maybe they'll end up being like, B-sides. There's always lots of things, like that like um they're good, but they're not quite good enough. So I'm very selective, on what like gets finished and released. But yeah, it's okay.
Also, if people haven't seen the artwork, well, the cover art of the album, it's a pretty cool picture, very retro futuristic. But also, what I think I love the most is that there's a CD placed instead of like a vinyl, no, which could remember us of the past. But the CD for me is very iconic because I have met already people who have never used a CD today, no. So for them now gives them the perspective of old stuff, no. But I mean, yeah, it's very cool. And I also want to know who created this artwork and what was the idea behind the aesthetic of it.
Her name is Patricia Doria, and I found her on Instagram, and she's done because I found this other artist who it turns out couldn't do it, and then I was like, let me see who else she follows. So I was literally going through this artist, like people she follows, and like I was looking at hundreds of different artists, and then I saw her work, and I realized like this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I sent her lots of references, and sometimes she'd send me ideas, and I'd have very specific ideas. But a lot of the time, Patricia kind of knew just what to do, and her process was pretty cool. Like she would start she wouldn't draw it on paper and digitize it, but I guess she would like draw it in Illustrator.
Okay.
And then she'd fill, so like when she'd send the like the drafts or whatever, it was always in black and white and shaded, and then she'd add in color after. So it'd be cool because it was like, oh wow, I can like picture this with color. Like if it already looks good without color, it's gonna look amazing with color.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the end
So
result is amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Really
So
nice.
anyway, she's amazing. She's
Yeah.
really cool. Patricia Doria is her name. She's based in the Philippines, in Manila.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, very cool job what she did there.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, the album, if people haven't heard it, is a pretty cool ride. I would describe it because I mean, I'm not sure. This is a question that I always ask to producers and artists that are releasing albums nowadays, because a lot of people are already used to only opening, I don't know, the album and play shuffle instead of listening it from the beginning till the end. So is this album ordered in that way, or is people free to just shuffle it? Or
I'm not going to tell people what to do. I mean, if they're listening to the album in full anyways, I think it's might as well listen in order. I think yeah, that's definitely there's a flow to it, and it starts with a lot of energy up front, and then it kind of gets a little more expansive and more soulful and more kind of uh yeah, meditative maybe, I don't know. But and then but it never goes too far away from, and then it kind of goes through some cycles,
yeah.
of different moods and things. Yeah.
Also, what for me is very interesting right now is that you decided to use like a palette of sounds for the album, which also remembers me a lot of the disco era, which is pretty close to house music, as we all know. But yeah, I mean, what was your idea on doing this whole texture of synth pop, disco, and yeah, combining it to nowadays sounds?
Well, I feel like I've been known for like doing disco sounds for a while, and I was just listening to some things that like um influenced me that I hadn't really gone for, where I generally will, I think a lot of my influences will come from like the more soulful side of like R&B and disco and funk and things, and then occasionally I have other like things that are very different that are like more like almost like classical music. A couple things that I've done,
Mhm.
which I grew up playing classical piano, so it kind of comes from that. But then with this, I was just like I wanted it, I wanted to make music that was uh just about fun, like and just feeling good. And so I felt like having the kind of like naive but like open and fun like synth pop sounds without like uh feeling like I need to have like jazzy or whatever chords in every song. I just wanted to push myself a little to do some things that uh were a little different but still sound
Right.
familiar to me, that still sound fun. Because I like to listen to all kinds of music.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think disco music is like very timeless? Because I mean, no matter what area, what age in music we are right now, I mean, for example, I don't know if in the US it's also the same, but here in Mexico, everything is about reggaeton and urban stuff, no? Like very Latin right now, the movement.
Of
But
course.
disco music, like it's always there, no? And it's always super fresh to hear it. So what do you think would make it so special to make it so timeless?
I mean, disco is like, because there's so much in disco when you think about it. Like there is a lot of Latin influence. There is a lot of like um in the percussion, and there was like, you know what I mean? There was like percussion stuff going on in disco records that I think probably people outside of if you weren't into like Latin jazz or something, like there are a lot of Latin jazz musicians who did percussion
Mhm.
on disco records. Um and then there's also like the whole like electronic side, and I think like disco is a producer's medium. I think is what like defines disco. Is it's not about like you know a big, well, of course you have like the Bee Gees or somebody, but it's more about like the producers who are like in there kind of trying stuff out. And so I think that's like, now we live in a world where it's like uh yeah, I mean it's very producer driven music, and that's what I do.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so I connect with it. Yeah, I connect with it. But I mean, reggaeton is also pretty big up here too,
yeah. I
especially in
heard.
New York City. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I remember that you told me once that when you started to play more in festivals, and I mean outside of the nightclub scene, your sound evolved also to more faster music and with probably bigger kick drums, etc. But I think that right now the world has changed to a point that I I was listening to the album the other day, and I could already imagine how it would sound live in a festival and people vibing to all the DJ set or the live actor. I don't know how you're gonna present it, but yeah, I think that right now the tables have turned, and now you're able to perform this kind of music like in a massive way, no, as well.
Well, I'm getting ready to do a live show right now, and it's yeah, no, this is like the test run, and I haven't done this in years, and it's like it's different from the last time I did the live shows, which was in 2019. So I'm starting with smaller clubs, or not even clubs, like live venues. And then, we'll see. I mean, hopefully can bring it to some festivals, hopefully can bring it to Mexico, absolutely.
No, yeah,
But it's more of like a concert, than it's like
right.
it's definitely separate from the DJ set. Yeah.
And people are loving that way of performing electronic music. I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's like the way I'm trying to do it, it's more almost like a traditional concert in a way, but with like a lot of new technology, a lot of programming, and like
Right.
and yeah, I don't know. It'll be
Yeah,
fun.
and the visuals, no, and all that stuff that is now
Oh yeah, of course, of
important.
course. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even, that's gonna be the next step. Like this first run, we don't even have visuals. We're just gonna do lighting cues. Um because I have just maxed out the budget with the like equipment and bringing extra singers and stuff like that. It's like if I can, uh if it's a choice between like bringing another musician or like bringing a lighting rig, I'll bring the musician.
The musician.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would
but
probably do the same.
but as things get bigger, then I'm gonna bring the lighting rig. Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that is next.
Let's
Yeah.
go that segment.
Yes.
Also, I wanted to ask you. I mean, this album, like you said before, was created during a 2-year period. But right now that you have been testing it more live, was the response the same like when you were doing it in studio? Was it as you imagined it to be, or was it better? Or yeah, like how has been the feedback?
It's been good. Yeah, I think that yeah, it's been good. And I had chances to play it. I was DJing in especially like the second half of 2021, and I was DJing quite a lot the first half of last year too. So I did get a lot of chances to DJ um to DJ a lot of the songs. And yeah, the response was good. I think, I couldn't it would be too tough for me to I mean, for one thing, it's just like I love to DJ, and it's also um just like for my career, I kind of like I need to, but like I also love like I couldn't just be in the studio all the time without ever playing music for people, you
Right.
know? And right now the live show, it's like a special thing. And we're gonna see how much I could do it because it is really expensive. But like yeah, I'm always testing things out uh while I'm like working on them, I'm not afraid to like play a demo even at like a big show, because I want to see how it goes, and usually it's
Yeah, for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the benefits now of being already an artist on the road, that you can test in real time what you're doing in the studio. So
Yeah, no, and I know people who are like, "Oh, I won't test it until it's mastered, until it's finished," and I'm like, "Right, that's crazy." Like,
yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, but that's the process for
yeah.
every artist. Also, I speak a lot to young artists and producers all around Latin America, and I mean, you being the real life example of someone that has trusted in his sound, and that your yeah, I mean that your art is yourself, and you are not only doing what everyone else is doing. What advice would you give them to stay true to themselves and create their own sound?
Um, I mean, look, I think that if you're just starting out, it's okay to try things out and not have it, it's not like the first thing that you do has to be because there's always like people, if everyone's just like, oh, the first artist name because people have projects that don't work, people, that's okay, I
Mhm.
think, and it's good to know when um there's a my friend said this because he'd heard it from someone, but it's just like something about like basically like success. It's like you don't want to waste time on stuff that isn't working, so it's
Right.
important to know if something isn't working, then like you need to be able to like get rid of it and be willing to try something out, especially if you're young and just starting over. So like don't feel bad if it takes a few tries um to get things moving, but at the same time, uh you know it's also important to know when you've established something and you feel very passionate about it, just because you see somebody else who's like very successful and blowing up doing a new sound, that doesn't mean that like all the work you've done isn't worth anything, you
Right.
know, or that like it's not cool anymore or whatever. So you have to follow your heart really. But yeah, don't be afraid to like start something new, but at the same time like don't feel uh you know stick to what you love. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
for them to have in mind. And just to finish, a personal question: what are you listening to right now? Like in your playlist, do you always listen to electronic music? Do you have other genres that you listen at right now?
The last thing I listened to was there's like a recording from Prince Purple Rain tour, and it was like it's from his concert, and I'm like, I'm working on this live show, and I've listened to a couple other, I've been listening to different live shows and things, and like I re-listened to the Justice live show, which is pretty crazy.
Ah, yeah, that's super good.
But yeah, this like Prince like concerts from the 80s are like, oh my God, it's crazy how good they like everything is perfect. And knowing how they like did this with early keyboards with like how to even like MIDI, like I don't even know, man. It's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always learn a lot,
So,
no, from people in those eras that they were doing like magic with whatever they had, and yeah, I'm always amazed as well. So
no, I know. It's a when I now I listen to stuff like that and I can hear all the effort that goes into it. If you hear like a big like pop show from the 80s, it's like, oh my God, they like programmed all that on like a early computer or who even knows? Like this is just amazing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna dig into those because are you watching them like in YouTube or that's an audio recording? What you're
A lot on YouTube, but yeah, the Prince one is on Spotify.
okay? I'm gonna
Yeah.
look for that one because it
Yeah, it's
sounds very
live
interesting.
at Syracuse, 1985.
Okay, I'm gonna write that one to listen
Yeah, yeah, it's
to that
cool.
during the
It is
weekend.
really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Moonboots. I don't know if you want to say anything else to your Mexican fans and also the Latin fans that you have over here.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say thanks for listening, and I want to come back down to Mexico soon. And are you in Mexico City
Yeah,
still?
in Mexico City. Yeah.
I need to come back. I had something. There was a schedule conflict, and I had some shows that were supposed to be in April, and now it's going to be in the fall, I think, or summer. But I need to come back to Mexico soon. I really appreciate everyone listening, and I have a lot of love for Mexico. So I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very
Cool.
much and hope to see you very soon here live.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Trina.
you.
All right.
Ciao. You're
Cool.
welcome.